like a phase where they go through like a hood phase, not them being hood, but dating hood.
So this creator brought up a very interesting topic of black suburban girls going through a dating hood phase. Like they date hood dudes and that's all they do, but they ultimately don't work out for variable reasons. Go check out that video. Very good in my opinion. And it just got me thinking, why is this even a trend? Why do people go out their way to date something that is not going to be compatible or suitable for them? And I've seen it in my family. I've seen it in women in my area, women out in other cities that I've been at, especially with black girls who come from two-parent households, who are lovely, who can regulate themselves mentally and emotionally, who are very faith-based and have a certain type of lifestyle. They go out of their way to date what we call Pookie and Ray Rays, who have no stability in the mind, heart, finances, or even purpose. So I was like, man, what is going on? And I remember even high school, like, that was the thing. These girls go out their way to date a dude who sells weed out of his grandma's basement. And he's going to be like that, looking back in hindsight. Guys stay like that from 16 years old to like 36 and still try to be in the game. And that's mental illness. Like you haven't elevated or changed in 20 some years. That's mental atrophy, as my people call it. But it got me thinking, black people, we come from a place where a lot of our people and ancestors, predecessors, whatever you want to call it, we came out of a place of scarcity from slavery, Jim Crow. We always had to start, behind somebody or not an equal playing ground. That's a better term. And we've been put in positions systemically to always have to catch up. And that can produce a scarcity mentality because we are very familiar with the state of poverty in this country from slavery and everything else. And when we're in a state of scarcity and survival mode, that puts us in survival mode. So in survival mode, we're going to try to meet our needs as soon as possible in the moment, whether it's paying this bill and worry about that bill later, or getting food right now instead of, going to school, or doing whatever to get our needs met right then and there. And then what that turns into, since a lot of us, and this happens to people, all socioeconomic class, all races, right? But if you get put in that with your needs, that causes you to think about your wants like that too. That's why black people buy cars, but still buy all these fancy cars with rims on it, but still live in apartments. Or buy all the new Jordans, but haven't advanced their career at all. So it's just stuff like that. It's almost like misplaced funds based on the survival mentality to look a certain way too. So it makes us impulsive when it comes to our wants because we're already surviving on a certain mindset for our needs. So the mindset don't change. We're going to be like that everywhere else. And then plus, black people are one of the only people groups who are constantly force-fed that criminality is equivalent to prosperity and masculinity. Like the thug culture, the degenerate culture that is basically the black equivalent of, excuse my friend, like white trash and like low down redneck, like all the Appalachian Mountain stuff where we get, where black people got ebonics and fighting all the time and all that stuff. You can look into that. We're the only ones who are force-fed that is the best and that should be for all of our culture. So our lowest point in our culture is supposed to be projected for everybody in our subgroup. That's why talking black is usually associated with being ghetto, when that is not the case for anybody else. We are associated to be criminals from the people who have power as well as within ourselves. So you mix that together, it's like, all right, so these women are going to go for what's good right now. They're going to go for the dude with the social accolades of, being cool, selling stuff, making crimes, playing ball, but he can't read. He's cool right now in high school. He's cool right now when we're young. But there's no plan. There's no advancement. There's no substance. And he is the archetype for what is force-fed, for what we've been brainwashed to be as cool. So if we're brainwashed to think thugs are cool, anything that looks like a thug is going to be cool to us all the time, and we're just going to be impulsively gravitating towards that and idolizing that. So you got these women doing that, but this is also something that nobody talks about. Black women in these circumstances, coming from these backgrounds, who got their stuff together, I've seen that they purposely date down to the Pookies and Ray Rays, because the Pookies and Ray Rays, in a sense, don't push them to grow. Don't push these women to grow. If this man, Pookie, Ray Ray, whatever you want to call him, this hood dude, ain't got his stuff together, he can't emotionally regulate himself because he's super impulsive, super emotional, because he came from a dysfunctional background, and he's trying to make a living off of backwards crime, crime stuff that's like a backwards thought. He don't got a stuff, but she does. She don't have to grow. She's in a constant state of, hey, you're lucky to be with me. And she puts herself on that pedestal where she can have her way with anything because she knows and believes in her mind that he's lucky to be with her, because when it's time to get property, especially a house, she can get it. She got her credit together. She can get a car whenever. She can set the kids right. She can get them to school. Like, she got the full reins. And then when we come from backgrounds of a scarcity mentality, and a lot of black people, we come out of out of wedlock generationally. We're always trying to get control. So yeah, like, she don't have to check. And I've seen this so much in women in my family, women outside of my family in general. Like, y'all always complaining about these same dudes, but half of black men don't have kids, but a certain group of men have most of these kids who are being born outside of wedlock. So that means these women are messing around with these same type of dudes, and it's for a reason. The numbers, Kevin Samuels always used to point it out, but if we look at it, these are some patterns. These are substantial patterns. And as a clinical, counselor, and as someone who studied psychology for a while, it's almost like a mental illness where we go out of our way to be associated with the criminal lifestyle. And even if we have it all together and come from a good background, we still want to mess it up. Whether it's by dating a Pookie Ray Ray, or like John Morant, or I forget, Michael Irvin's son, Elijah, another Elijah, going out of their way to be a thugged out and almost ruin their life because they want to look like a thug, even though they didn't grow up like that. So it's something wrong in terms of that, where we are messed up to the point where we have such a lack of identity that we go out of our way to become what's bad in our culture when we don't have to. But yeah, so basically, black suburban girls, I believe, date these hood dudes, and go through all these traumas, and all these babies, because generational trauma, an impulsive mindset of getting what you want right now from a survival mindset from past generations, and you don't have to grow if you believe you on a pedestal. So yeah, and if you argue with me, argue with your mama, because this is just my thoughts. You can disagree, but don't argue with me. Just look at the facts and look at your life.